The Council's decision. The Council chamber footage played across the archive's holographic display, showing representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for an emergency session. The date stamp marked this as 3 days after the Proxima campaign's conclusion. Supreme Counselor Xenthar, an ancient being of pure thought encased in a ceremonial shell, addressed the assembly. We face an unprecedented situation. The human military methodology threatens the very foundation of galactic stability. The recording showed heated debates lasting days. Some species advocated for embracing human innovation, while others demanded immediate containment. The turning point came when the analytical minds, a species of living quantum computers, presented their projections. If human military influence continues to spread, their representative calculated, within 50 years, all conventional warfare doctrine will become obsolete. Within a century, the concept of standardized military response will cease to exist. Chaos will become the norm. Fleet Admiral Marcus Chen, Earth's representative, stood before the Council in defense of humanity. You call it chaos. We call it adaptation. The galaxy is changing. Shouldn't our methods of defending it change too? But the fear had already taken root. Species after species voted in favor of the ban, citing the need to maintain order and predictability in military affairs. The final vote wasn't even close. The final protocol, the last data crystal in the archive, contained the implementation of what became known as the Human Containment Protocol. Earth would remain part of the Alliance, but its military innovations would be quarantined, its tactical knowledge classified at the highest level. Warning, an automated message flashed across the display. Current galactic threat analysis indicates void swarm approaching from galactic core. Estimated arrival: 2 years. Traditional defense strategies projected to be ineffective. Zixtal, Venra, and Nexus stared at the warning in silence. The void swarm, a force that devoured light itself, was unlike anything the galaxy had faced before. The very threat that had led them to research humanity's van might require humanity's help to overcome. The Council needs to know, Venra decided, their crystalline form pulsing with determination. The galaxy banned humans because their methods were unpredictable. But against an enemy like the Void Swarm, unpredictability might be our only hope. Nexus swirled thoughtfully. Perhaps that's the greatest irony. We banned humans not because they were too dangerous to fight alongside, but because they showed us that our way of fighting was fundamentally flawed. Zixtal accessed the final recording. Admiral Chen's last words to the Council before the ban took effect. His message seemed more relevant now than ever. You fear our chaos, our unpredictability. But the universe itself is chaos. Every star, every planet, every living thing exists because of random chance and endless adaptation. By trying to impose absolute order on warfare, you're fighting against the very nature of existence. Someday, you'll face an enemy that can't be defeated by following the rules. When that day comes, remember us. The 3 archivists began preparing their report for the Council. As they worked, each contemplated the same question. In trying to maintain order in warfare, had the galaxy sacrificed its best chance at survival? A new alert flashed across the display. Void Swarm advancement accelerating. Estimated arrival revised. 1 year. Council priority message. All species to prepare for possibility of unconventional warfare protocols. Venra's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been amusement. It seems humanity's influence never truly faded. They showed us a different way to think about warfare, and try as we might, we can't unlearn what they taught us. Perhaps, Nexus added, their collective consciousness reaching a consensus. That was their greatest victory of all. As the archivists left the chamber, the final display showed a simple message that summarized humanity's legacy in galactic warfare. Species assessment update. Humans. Too adaptable to predict, too innovative to control, and perhaps too important to ignore. The ancient warning glyphs on the archive door seemed to glow brighter as they sealed it shut. protecting the knowledge of humanity's brief but revolutionary impact on galactic warfare. As they headed to the council chamber, each carried the weight of a decision that would affect the fate of all species. Was it time to unban the galaxy's most unpredictable warriors? Behind them, in the darkness of the archive, the data crystals pulsed with stored knowledge, waiting for the day when the galaxy would need humanity's chaos to fight an enemy that order alone could not defeat. Zixtal accessed the final entry in the database, displaying the official declaration of humanity's military exclusion. Species designation: human. Status: banned from all Galactic Alliance military operations. Reason: possess fundamental understanding of warfare that poses existential threat to established galactic order. The three archivists stared at the display in silence, the implications of their discovery weighing heavily upon them. They had expected to find records of some terrible atrocity or devastating weapon. Instead, they found something far more profound: a species whose greatest weapon was their ability to think differently. "The Council needs to see this," Venra declared, their form pulsing with urgency. "With the void swarm approaching from the galactic core, we can't afford to ignore humanity's potential any longer." As they prepared to leave the archive, a new alert flashed across the display. Warning: multiple instances of human-like tactical innovations detected in recent military engagements. Source: unknown. Status: spreading. The breaking point. The Proxima campaign data crystal glowed an ominous red as Venray inserted it into the archive interface. Warning messages flickered across the display, requiring multiple security clearances before revealing their contents. "The swarm war," Zixtal whispered, their energy form dimming at the memory. No one expected the Proxima sector to become the turning point. The footage showed the initial arrival of the Hive Collective, a vast army of insectoid beings that operated with a single consciousness. Their biological ships darkened the stars, consuming everything in their path. Traditional Alliance forces had failed to stop their advance, leading to desperate measures. "This is Admiral Kirapatil of the Earth Defense Force," a holographic figure announced, her weathered face showing the strain of command. "The Alliance has granted us emergency tactical authority for the Proxima sector defense." The recording displayed the seemingly suicidal strategy the humans proposed. Instead of fighting the Hive directly, they would target its fundamental nature, its unity of consciousness. "Fascinating," Nexus observed, their mist-like form rippling with interest. They identified the enemy's greatest strength and turned it into a weakness. The human fleet deployed specialized ships carrying modified quantum resonators. These devices didn't attack the Hive's bodies, but instead created localized pockets of quantum uncertainty. In these zones, the Hive's unified consciousness began to fragment, experiencing multiple conflicting realities simultaneously. The effect was devastating. The Hive, unable to maintain its singular purpose, began to question its own existence. Individual drones developed independent thoughts, breaking free from the collective. The mighty swarm fell into chaos, torn apart not by weapons, but by the gift, or curse, of individuality. They didn't just defeat the enemy, Venra noted, their crystalline structure clouding with concern. They fundamentally changed them. The surviving Hive fragments still exist as separate colonies, each developing their own unique culture. The archive footage continued, showing the aftermath. Other species began studying and replicating human tactical innovations. The strict hierarchies that had maintained galactic order for millennia were crumbling. The Alliance Military Council faced a crisis. Humanity had introduced something more dangerous than any weapon: unpredictability. The archives reveal. The Grand Archives of the Galactic Military History Institute stretched endlessly into the darkness, its crystalline walls pulsing with stored data from 1,000,000 worlds. Archivist Zixtal, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, hovered before a sealed section marked with the highest security clearance. Their companion, Venra, a silicon-based life form whose transparent body sparkled with neural pathways, pressed their access card against the security panel. "Are you certain about this, Venra?" asked Zixtal, their energy form flickering with concern. "Section Omega-7 hasn't been accessed in over 3 centuries. The Council requested a comprehensive review of all species exclusion protocols," replied Venra, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of determination. "We can't ignore the human files forever." Their third companion, Nexus, a collective consciousness of microscopic organisms that took the form of a shimmering blue mist, swirled around them anxiously. The legends say these records were sealed for good reason. Some knowledge is better left buried. The security doors parted with a whisper, revealing a small chamber containing a single data crystal. Its surface was etched with warning glyphs in every major galactic language. Venra carefully lifted the crystal from its pedestal and inserted it into the nearest interface terminal. The holographic display burst to life, filling the chamber with images of a small blue-green planet on the outer spiral arm of the galaxy. Earth, circa 2157 CE, when humanity first joined the Galactic Alliance's unified military force. Initial assessment of species capabilities. Limited, Zixtal read aloud. Physical attributes below galactic average. No natural defenses. Limited technological advancement. Recommended for support roles only. They paused, their energy form pulsing with confusion. This doesn't make sense. Why would such an unremarkable species be banned from all military operations? The display shifted, showing footage from humanity's first combat deployment. A small contingent of human ships, barely a fraction of the size of standard galactic vessels, faced off against a Kranix battle fleet. The Kranix, massive crystalline entities who had been waging war across the galaxy for millennia, had expected an easy victory. "Watch," Venra whispered, their form vibrating with intensity. The human ships didn't follow any known combat doctrine. Instead of maintaining formation, they scattered in seemingly random patterns. The Kranix fleet, programmed with countless centuries of tactical data, couldn't predict their movements. Then the humans did something unprecedented. They aimed their weapons not at the Kranix ship's weak points, but at the space between them. "They're missing completely," Nexus observed, before their collective consciousness registered the truth. "No, they're not missing. They're changing the battlefield itself." The humans had fired specialized weapons that created localized distortions in space-time. The Kranix ships, unable to compensate for the sudden changes in physical laws, began colliding with each other. Within minutes, the entire fleet had been reduced to crystalline debris. "Impossible," Zixtal breathed. The Kranix had never been defeated in direct combat before this. The display advanced through more battles, each showing humans using increasingly unconventional tactics. They transformed asteroids into weapons, used their own ships as bait, and employed psychological warfare that left their enemies in disarray. Traditional military doctrine proved useless against their unpredictable strategies. But it wasn't until they reached the classified reports that the true reason for humanity's ban became clear. The data showed that human military thinking was literally infectious. Other species serving alongside humans began adopting their tactical flexibility, leading to a breakdown in the carefully structured hierarchy of galactic warfare. They were banned because they were too good at warfare. Nexus asked, their collective minds struggling to process the concept. "No," Venra responded, their crystalline form darkening with realization. "They were banned because they showed the galaxy that everything we thought we knew about warfare was wrong. They proved that true combat effectiveness isn't about superior strength or advanced technology. It's about adaptation, creativity, and the willingness to break every rule in the book."